Lords, this group of amendments that's antagonistic to every aspect of gambling being involved in football seems to me to be the epitome of what I've been warning about in terms of an intrusive and disproportionate regulatory overreach. The noble Lord Addington and I and other members of the Lib Dem benches have exchanged views on the issue of gambling, both at committee stage and previously, so I'll aim to avoid repeating that. But in some ways, this group of amendments, along with the earlier amendments on the environment, express a worry that the independent football regulator will be used as a Trojan horse for a range of political hobby horses. If one of the aims of this bill, as I understand it, is that the football regulator will help clubs become financially sustainable and avoid financial jeopardy, particularly smaller clubs. That's been a compelling and convincing argument for this bill. So why would we cut off one perfectly legitimate source of funding in the form of lucrative sponsorship, which is what these amendments would do? Gambling companies provide significant revenue through sponsorship for football teams, and that money helps clubs not only pay staff salaries, upgrade training facilities, maintain stadiums, but also to invest in youth academies and community projects, i.e. they often help fund those social responsibility projects that my Lord seemed so keen on earlier this evening. Any special discriminatory treatment of the gambling industry as potential sponsors would imply a moralistic and even politically charged decision-making about which sponsors are virtuous enough to be allowed, and I think the regulator and this bill should keep well away from it. I'm sure that in this House there will be people who will cheer on Dale Vince's Forest Green sponsor and owner Ecotricity. That would pass muster. It's a particular type of company, as other renewable energy companies are. But in all seriousness, you might not like gambling, but what about the people who don't like airlines? I mean, what's going to happen to the Emirates in relation to Arsenal, or Etihad Airlines at Man City? Or what about all those big financial services companies that also fund football teams? Who will make those kind of moralistic decisions? And then just finally, gambling is a legal activity. It's also a legitimate form of entertainment, a long-standing social activity that can be, and many people find it, exciting and thrilling. It gets the adrenaline going. It's risky unless you can lose, and yes, you can lose, and that can be disappointing, but sometimes it's thrilling when you win. And one of the reasons why that's attractive, surely, is anybody who follows a football team will recognise the pattern, which is, guess what? I might win, but I rarely do, but I can just about cope. I mean, I think it's understandable that some football fans will occasionally have the odd bet and enjoy it. And sometimes they win and sometimes they lose. But I can tell you from my own family that I'm more than aware of problem gambling. Don't get me wrong, it's a vicious, nasty, horrible thing when it happens. But obsessive, compulsive gamblers are a small minority, and they should not be used as an excuse to deprive football teams of valuable financial support. And this bill should have absolutely nothing to do with that kind of Puritan moralism.
Yeah.